Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dr. Pfesesani, and I'm a postdoc at HartRAO, and I was part of the NASSP honors in 2011. Firstly, before I forget, thank you for inviting me. I actually was a bit scared to talk in the beginning when Patricia asked if I would be interested, because I thought like maybe my story wouldn't fit in with everyone else and how everybody's so successful and they're these great scientists. But after a while, after talking to Prof. Sally, he helped me realize that everybody's story is unique and all of us went through the same things, even if we didn't go through like exactly the same thing. At the end of the day, we went through NASSP, we made it, we PhDs, and that's something to be happy about. So without further ado, I'm gonna start my talk. So how did I end up at NASSP? So when I was doing my third year at the University of Venda, Tebe came to our university and he gave this awesome talk about how we are not special. We are actually we are actually on this band of gas and dust around the sun, and if we're interested in finding out exactly how not special we are, we should fill up these forms and come to Cape Town. They've got this great project where they teach people astronomy. So at the time when he came, astronomy to me didn't really mean a lot. It was just the stuff you see on TV, like the NASA missions. So it looked very far-fetched, like, okay, it's only in America, you don't do it here. So when he's like, no, like we've got telescopes in Gauteng, there's one in SAO, it intrigued and interested me to be like, okay, I don't really know what I want to do when I finish, so, this might not be a bad idea. So then I applied and I went looking for my email. So this is the email Rushana sent me. She used to work with Nikki with the whole NASP thing. And she's like, oh yeah, 69 people applied and you get to come to the winter school. I was excited, but then I was also scared because now I had to go home and convince my mom that I applied for this thing. And now I'm accepted, and my mom is a very devout Christian, so the whole astronomy thing was very astrology-like to her. So, so I had to like think on my feet, like, okay, how am I going to convince my mom? Because I know if I can convince her, then my dad is easy, then things will, things will move on smoothly. So I somehow managed to convince her. And then I think it was, I can't remember if it was the summer or winter school. I just know it was very cold in Sutherland. And so in 2009, which was my final undergrad year, we went to SALT. So this was the group of other students. It was me in the black and white, yes. We even made snowmen. It was like so nice. It was my first time I saw snow, so I was like very excited. So it was us, and there was also a group of other students from other universities, I think Northwest and all that stuff. And every now and again we'll stop the drive in the middle of the road, like we want to take pictures, and then we stop by that sign between Sutherland and I think it's Fraserburg. Yeah, and we took that snapshot there. And then the following year, after I realized that I actually think I like this stuff, I applied to join the extended honors group. And this is the first picture we took on the first day when all of us like got onto UCT. I think it's the first time I stepped on UCT ground. And yeah, you can find yourselves there. And then, so the nice thing that I think has resonated with everyone so far is that we make relationships with the people that we met here, and we sort of keep track of each other and still talk even after all these years. So I met these guys 12 years ago, and we are still in touch. So I put like little arrows to show where everyone is, because most of them are not here. In fact, I think I'm the only one in the group that's here. But I think they're joining online because I saw some of them on WhatsApp talking. So this is just something I thought would be good to see, that, everyone is sort of sorted. Like NASSP actually really did do like, it really did benefit all of us. And in our small little way, we are contributing to the country in different fields. And when we came here, we didn't think that this was possible. But through the program, all of us managed to find our own little space where we think we belong. So I'm at HartRAO, and I think it's Mrs. Matamba is at Sanza, Tawang and Sipamo are at Nexa, and JT and Tina are in data science and banking. I think Tina is an investment banker, I'm not sure, but I'll find out. And then Maranza and Tato are teaching. And I think, yeah, Lihlono is a mobile software developer. And then, for some reason, NASSP likes summer schools at SALT. So I went, I went to another summer school thing at SALT in 2010. This was when we started our extended honors program. So we went when we did the visit for the winter school, and then we went when we were actually like the class of 2010 extended honors, which was pretty cool. And I'm standing at the back there with sunglasses. And then in 2011, if you saw in the previous pictures, there were only 2 ladies in the extended honors program. So for the whole year, it was just me and Mrs. Matamba. And then in 2011, Kine, Lisbeth, Rushana, not Rushana, sorry. I mean, oh my God, I've forgotten her name. Riona, thank you. So all of them came with the 2011 honors class. So it was a bit more diverse, and it started feeling a bit cool to be, you know, around other girls, because like for the longest time, it was just 2 girls and like 6 boys. And then we had to go to another summer school with the honors group. This time we went to Hermanus. I think the picture on the right, we were geocaching. I had never geocached before, and it was such a nice experience. We were running around like finding little things using GPS. It was so cool. And then we also went to HartRAO with the late Dr. Tony Foley. I'm the one in the front, like. And then we got to climb on the mountain. So Dr. Tewe, during his talk, he mentioned that he made us do like these talks and where we had to present like what we learned and things like that. So I actually went to my Facebook and I found the video. But I didn't want to embarrass myself, so I just took a snapshot. So how did I end up at HartRAO? I woke up one day and I'm like, I want to go to Zootopia, because I heard that, you know what, at HartRAO, when I went there, you get animals on the landscape, you can see like bucks and everything. So it seemed so appealing to me. I was like, if I'm going to do my master's anyway, I'm going to do it at HartRAO. But that's not quite right. So I went to HartRAO because of this man. This is the late Dr. Mike Gaylord. He was the director at HartRAO. So I don't know how many people actually met him, but normally if you came to NASSP, you'd spend like a week in Joburg with him. So when we went there, he was this old man who was so passionate about science and radio astronomy, and like Mike could talk and talk and talk about radio astronomy, about astronomy, about like how radio astronomy started in South Africa, how old the telescope is, what they did with NASA. And I just found that passion so invigorating. And, you know, like I was like, okay, if I'm going to work with anyone, I want to work with that guy, because he seems to know a lot and he's passionate. So if anyone will actually like give you the time and energy to actually like give you that space to grow in astronomy, it will be him. So that's how I ended up in HartRAO. So the NASSP program gives out like these projects that you have to pick from. And then the first one that came to me was the one that Mike had, which was on AGM. So immediately when I saw his name, I was like, I'm going for him. And then I applied, and then he emailed like almost instantaneous, I think like the next day, and he was like so excited. And that just made me feel like, okay, so you did the right thing. So I thought I could also talk about my crazy journey through my PhD. So in 2011, I completed my honors with Patricia. And then, like I mentioned, I decided I'm going to go do my MSc in Joburg with Mike. So when I went to Mike, he was working with Sergio. And at the same time, I decided I'm going to get married, I'm going to break the band, and I'm going to have kids. And so I had my daughter like in 2013. So then 2014, Mike passed away just before I graduated for my MSc. So that was a bit sad. And then I had to complete my MSc with Sergio and Alet. And then in 2018, Sergio passed away when I was doing my PhD. And I also happened to have my second daughter, and then 2020, I had my son, and then 2021, my dad passed, and I was in lockdown in Limpopo. So at that time, it's like I couldn't get away, so I had to figure out how to finish my PhD at home. But I had 2 kids under 2. So the one on my back is my son, and the one in the front is my daughter. So every now and again, if you ever read my thesis and things don't make sense, don't ask me. Yeah, so then I sort of had to make it work, because then now the kids couldn't go to crèche. I had to find a way to study. And sometimes, like on this day, both of them had decided that they don't want anyone else in the house. And I think I had a meeting with Alet before that. And then my husband was like making fun of me. He's like, no, let me take a picture so one day you can show Alet like how you looked like when you talked to her and stuff. So Alet. So this was just one of those days when it was really, really hectic and I needed to push. But then I had kids, so I had to learn quickly how to balance work and life and motherhood and all that stuff in a very short space of time. Luckily, in 2023, I finally completed my PhD with Alet and Prof. Andrew, since Prof. Sergio passed away. So from MSc to PhD, I've had 5 supervisors in between. Yeah, but it's doable. I made it. Yeah, but I couldn't have done it without the support of Alet. Like, there were times when I remember I would just break down, and Alet would be like, it's okay, Fesi, if you need to take time, just sleep, take a break. You can work on it tomorrow. You don't have to do it today. And those things, when you think about it, it's like, when I was in that space, I was like, no, I can't stop. I need to work. I need to push this, push. But then in hindsight, they helped me a lot, because then they gave me time to regroup and time to center myself and then take it one step at a time. So it was very tricky, but in the end, I think having a very supportive supervisor is very, very important. Like, I don't think I would have finished without Alet. And for all you supervisors here, everyone's story is different. They might not have 2 kids under 2 and be in lockdown, but I feel that if you want to impact someone's future career and like give them that leg to actually continue and pursue this thing without feeling all the heavy loads and packaged stuff, right? It would be good to consider just being a bit more considerate, because I've heard of horror stories from other supervisors, and I'm very privileged that not only did I get like a supervisor from NASSP, but I actually got like a person who understood my situation. So it also makes it easier to actually want to stay in the sciences as a woman and complete your PhD, master's, or whatever degree you're doing. Was it worth it? Okay. Well, in my MSc, I actually, I remember when I went to HartRAO, Mike was like, hey, Fesi, there's this interesting source that this guy, Rupesh from NASA, wants me to look at. And are you interested to like monitor it and like reduce the data and stuff? I was like, yeah, sure, okay. And then after we reduced the data, like a few days later, Rupesh contacted Mike. He's like, you know, this source just had like a neutrino emission, and we're trying to figure out if we think it's coming from where it's coming from. Can you guys show us your data and your flux, like how it's changing over time and things like that, so we can sort of pinpoint if these things are coming from the same location? And then we were like, sure, okay, we looked at the source, and then apparently after we sent him the results, he was like, okay, so this is like a super big thing, and these guys are writing a paper on it, and I think that we can actually include it in the paper and stuff like that. So I'm thinking like, it's just a random paper, you know, NASSP or whatever. It turns out that it was actually a Nature paper, and the telegram that we sent out on the source was actually cited in the paper. And HartRAO, not HartRAO, the NRF made a big hoo-ha about it. They even wrote like a piece on it. And it was like really cool, because now I started feeling like, you know what, I'm doing stuff, and it's and people are like recognizing my work. So this was like a really, really nice thing to have to start with, because I wasn't really sure if science was for me. I knew I wanted to work with Mike, but I wasn't like cemented yet. So after this came out and everybody was making a whole fuss about it, I was like, yes. And then another thing that I think makes it worth it for me is the fact that we get to do outreach, and we get to do outreach with other NASSP students that came after us. So I think every year, if I remember correctly, yeah, NASSP would set students before they did the whole node separation thing. And it would be like really cool to like meet other people in my previous position, like seeing them being interested in the work we do and wanting to find out how I got here and stuff. So for me, the outreach part really made me feel like I'm making an impact. So when I asked myself questions like, was it worth it? Even if I just did outreach, I think that would have been just it for me. Like just making other people feel the kind of things I felt when I wanted to do science work is rewarding, and just seeing everybody so excited to learn things that to me now are like, oh, okay, no, this is just the flux of the sun, leave it there. They're like, oh my God, look at that. Is that the sun? Let me see this, let me do that. Like, it's really nice. And I think it makes it worthwhile to be able to still contribute in this kind of way. Prof, how many minutes? 2, okay. So I also got to do outreach with the DARA project with AVN students. So it's sort of like what NASSP does, but then these are students from all over the world, like all over Africa, that come for the same kind of period, and then we lecture them and train them on radio astronomy and all that stuff. The last one was in 2019, and then COVID happened, and then we just had another cohort this week, because I had to come here. So other people are handling the AVN thing. So yeah, I thought I could just also mention this as well. And another thing that makes it worth it is the travel. The travel is really nice. So on the right, that's when I went to the Fermi Summer School, where we learned about gamma rays and how to reduce data from the Fermi Telescope. And on the left is when I was in Poland, and this was for a radio summer school, and I met people there that I still collaborate with. And I met a NASSP, that's Brenda Namumba. I don't know if people know her here, yeah. And this one was a bit more special. So at some point in 2018, I got to go to NASA for a month. And the time I was there, the Fermi-Lat telescope was turning 10 years that year. So they had a whole Fermi-Lat celebration. We had a braai. I was standing there with Liz Hayes, one of the chief scientists at NASA. And in that office is the office where they were discussing what things to highlight about the Fermi-Lab telescope for this milestone of 10 years that the telescope has been in operation. And I think that's the first time I felt like really important, because I was sitting in the room with all these NASA scientists and they're making all these important decisions. I think, yeah, that was when they decided that the gamma ray bubbles is also gonna go on there. And then I decided to check if that thing, poster that they were deciding to make for the Fermi-Lab anniversary was still there. And I found that it's actually still there. So it's kind of nice, even though I didn't make the decisions, but to remember that I was in the room when everybody was choosing, okay, we're going to do the Fermi bubbles, then we're going to do this neutrino and that blazer and all that stuff. So I think it's like really cool, the kind of opportunities we get afforded from being able to be in these kind of programs like NASSP. And then, yeah, I thought I could also talk about some PR work that I've done. So on the right, we were celebrating 50 years of geodesy at HartRAO. So Mr. Takarani was there from the DSI. Oh gosh, I let Chris Jacobs from the USNO was over there as well. So they had this whole TV thing where they were discussing geodesy and how far the radio astronomy, the geodesy part of astronomy has come, how far it's come at HartRAO. And Prof. Ludwig had asked me if I wouldn't mind joining as part of the panel to discuss what we do at HartRAO. And that was like really nice. I think that was the first time I was on TV talking astronomy. So that was a very cool PR moment. And then there was also a time when I was doing my master's and the NRF wanted to feature women in science at the NRF. So I also got to do like a mini post for them as well. Okay, so currently what I'm working on now is I do flare advocate work for Fermi. So the Fermi-Lab telescope has this flare advocate system where you register to become a flare advocate, and then you basically monitor the gamma ray sky for like a week. And then for that week, you are like the chief scientist, so to speak. So you check the data, you notify everyone if there's like exciting stuff happening in gamma rays and all that stuff. So because of my affiliation with NASA, I got to join that collaboration, and that has been very insightful and a very nice experience for me, because then you get to have access to all these great astronomers and ask them questions. And I think it's a good thing for me in my career, basically, as I've been developing over the years. And I can see how it's benefited me as well as other people that are also in the group. I'm also got the fellowship from the Science by Women Consortium. So there was a call for like scientists to join this initiative where they want to promote African women in leadership in the scientific research and technology transfer space. So I applied and I managed to get that. So I'm going to be working with people from the CTA, which is very, very cool, because the competition was tight. So for me to get that really cemented my sort of little space in the astronomy field. I'm also currently working on multiple VLBI projects, Fermi-Lab Cavian astrometry, HartRAO K-band project. So we're looking at positional astrometry of sources together with HartRAO single dish data and Fermi-Lab gamma ray data to figure out basically like when these sources are fairing, do they change positions? what happens in the radio? Do we get correlations? Can we deduce what the sources are doing by checking the different fluxes at different multi-wavelengths? And HartRAO USNO project, it's sort of similar to the one at the top, but then we're using geodetic data to sort of look at similar things. And then I'm also part of the IAU LOC for the multi-wavelength astrometry group, which is very exciting considering that it's the first time that the IAU is coming to Africa. Key takeaways for me, I think NASSP was very instrumental on my journey, because if it wasn't for NASSP, I would have never been able to do any of the things I talked about. One thing I could tell young students, PhDs or postdocs, is learn to talk to people. Most of the projects I started or I'm involved in, they started over an email or a chat in the hallways. It's not that deep. Like, things don't have to be serious all the time. The more you talk to people, the more people know you, the more people want to work with you, that kind of thing. And try to have fun on the way. I know it's difficult with EM lectures, like everybody was talking about. But you need to have that 5 minutes, 1 hour to yourself every now and again, just to make sure that you stay on track and you stay on course, because burnout is real. Like, I crashed a couple of times, and looking back now, I can see, had I taken the time to just breathe for like a minute, things would have probably gone a lot easier. But anyway, follow your passion wherever it may take you. I followed mine, and it led me to a PhD in astrophysics. Thank you very much.